Hey everyone, MJY5 back here with episode 2 of Becoming a Racer. This is going to be my second time doing the voice recordings for this episode, so if I sound kind of out of it, that's why I'm having to put up with iMovie today. Anyway, this episode is basically going to be a recap of all that I've done in the sim racing world so far, rather than just a trailer breakdown like I said I would do in the last episode. Without further delay, aside from the rest of the intro, let's get started with Becoming a Racer, episode 2. I think for episode 3, I might make an actual intro for the series instead of just using clips from the trailer. Like I said, this is basically going to be an overall retrospective of what I've done over the last 11 months, from the big races to the little imperfections that I've then tried to perfect. Our first clips brings us to Zandvoort, because for some reason I thought that making a whole race weekend and everything with pit stops included would gain me SA, because I really didn't know how the system worked back when I was a beginner to this game and was just starting to get into it. Since I was just starting out in this game, my safety rating was low and I wasn't really a safe driver at all to really begin with. A lot of times, incidents like that I used to blame on the AI because I thought it was their fault, but the more I played, the more I saw that it was just me not being able to control the car in any way, shape, or form. Fast forward a little bit and I got my first offline win. This was about the time when my SA had reached level 48. This is also around the time where I started to gain enough confidence to really get serious about online racing in this game. Well, about as serious as I could be, seeing as how at this time I was so nervous and worried about what everybody else was doing around me, I would end up running myself off track and end up bleeding positions because of it. However, whenever people would start crashing and piling up, I would try and maneuver my way through the wrecks and even gaining safety rating in the process. However, I never really kept it for long. Dakar 2018, the game, has been my chosen off-road simulator, even though I have less of an idea of what to do in that game than ACC. I've tried, failed, and I'll keep trying, and at least until I understand how to read the roadbook map thingy. And in my time during sim racing, I've also learned how to roll a Porsche 911 Carrera Cup car. And despite this game not always having a very active player base, at least on Xbox, I did find myself a very full Paul Ricard session. I knew from the moment I joined this server that my main problem was going to be not knowing the track well. But seeing as how I did qualify 17th and automatically gained like 5 positions off the line, either from people leaving from qualifying or not getting a good start, I actually had a little bit of confidence going into turn 1. With all that built up confidence, I was almost tempted to go for the move on the Porsche to the right here, but I didn't know exactly the depth of the turn, so I didn't. And then next thing I know, I see people in front of me spinning out, hitting each other, so I'm over here taking evasive maneuvers, and after that, escaping in one piece, I pretty much felt kind of invincible. Even though I was still trying to stay away from everybody as if they had coronavirus or something, I definitely felt like I had a chance in this race. However, like you see there, trying to stay away from everybody all the time doesn't exactly get me far, seeing as how I got a corner cut warning trying to get away from the Porsche and still ended up getting hit by a Bentley after all that anyway. And then not knowing how early to turn in, going onto the backstretch here really set me up bad. I could already tell the Bentley was hunting me down, but there is a plus side to this. Since this straight is so long, no matter if you're doing the overtaking or being overtaken, you're gonna gain SA either way because it's side-by-side action while not making contact with the other car. Which I found out after this race, like a while after this race, that's what gained you SA, not just following close behind another car, which that does work too, but not when you smack right into them. Any type of increase in safety rating just went straight down the drain. I thought he was braking too early, but I was actually the one braking way too late and didn't even turn in early enough for a proper dive bomb. Later in that race, the Ferrari 488 tries to show me how to do a dive bomb properly, and then I get a corner cut warning again for being all off the track. I hit the Ferrari, lose another position to the Porsche, and I almost tailgate this 720S out of the race. I was still very much an all over the place type racer, still not 100% confident with my car, and definitely not 100% confident around other people and their ability not to crash into me. However, I have no ground to talk after pulling the same stupid move like I didn't learn my lesson the first time. Luckily, the Porsche can continue on with his race, but after that, I just decided to quit because I didn't feel like messing up anybody else like this Lexus does to me at Silverstone for no good reason. After struggling online for a bit, I decided to return to Silverstone offline to try and build back up my safety rating. And after turning up the AI a few notches, they actually put on quite a show for me. Now I felt like I actually had to try and work my way up through the pack to get a good finish in offline races. A win definitely wasn't impossible, but the AI were just aggressive enough to where I was able to gain SA rating while also having fun with them. That's not to say that more times than not races would still feel kind of repetitive and the same, but I couldn't turn them up too much or else they would start being really aggressive towards each other and causing massive pileups worse than the ones I've seen online. So the AI kinda just did work as something to improve my driver ratings and increase my lap times even. After building up my skill, I thought I could make a safe return back to online racing. The only thing here is that I was using a car I had used before, but it was kind of a handful to drive even then. I didn't really start putting down competitive laps until late in qualifying, and that was when the sun started to come out. After about half the server left from qualifying, and out of the variety of cars we had left, I qualified second, which was a surprise for me. That was probably only about my second time at Hungarian when this is recorded, using a kind of uncontrollable car for a 1 hour and 20-minute race. So, coming to the start line here, I was really looking forward to how this was gonna go. As you can see, I was already fighting with the car before we could even make it to the green light. And I was away for my first ever actual endurance race on ACC, and the Porsche with the engine sitting right above the rear wheels thrusted me right in the first place. I knew it wouldn't last long though, and I didn't really expect it to last long going against a full-fledged GT3 car. Judging by the way he was driving that 720S, I wouldn't say that he knows any more about his car than I do about my car at the time when it came to overall car control. I could kind of tell that he wanted the lead, and I wasn't trying to keep it from him, seeing as how I knew I was in a slower car. But I guess it either took him a while to get past or to realize that I wasn't holding the lead, or both, really. I wasn't worried though, because I knew that he wasn't going to stick around for long, either from crashing and quitting or just quitting because of how long the race was, just like a few of the other people shown left in the list. They just really did not have the endurance and or the will to run the race. So, fast forward the time a little bit, and you can see each clip, less and less people are still participating. As you can see by the cracked windshield, I haven't had the easiest time with this car. Despite my hardships, I still refused to give up. And if you want to know why, it's because I saw this as a test of endurance, speed, and overall determination to outright win this thing. And that's exactly what I was looking to do.
Come on, let's go. Low tire pressure, stay clear of the curbs.
27 minutes later, you have a worn out MJY5 coming across the line to win the race. And if you think for 1 minute that I wasn't going to pull over and start ripping donuts, you obviously don't know me well. I mean, I just won an hour and 20-minute race. In my opinion, one of the hardest cars to drive in this game, in a track I knew very little about at the time. This is a huge accomplishment. Like, I was screaming in my room about how I won this race. And if you couldn't already tell, I was sort of in a race of my own, seeing as how I had to have lapped everyone at least once, no matter what car or class they were in. I felt like an LMP1 every time I passed somebody. After all those donuts and holding the wheel from side to side for about 15 minutes, I just rest and watch the fireworks as I took in what I just did. A little bit later on, I tried racing in the rain at Barcelona, and that race was fun until it ended in a crash, and then I apologized for ruining the other dude's race. And nowadays, I'm setting new personal best lap times at places like Misano, but still not even coming close to the competition. Not to mention, while also trying to learn manual shifting, I was also watching the Petit Le Mans that weekend. Even being classified as a gold driver in ACC, even though I would think of myself as at least a silver, I'm off to a pretty good start in my racing career. Episode 3 of Becoming a Racer probably won't be out until 2022, so I guess I'll see you guys then with more sim racing action. MJY5 out.